Hey guys, Rita Repulsa 95 recording live from Look County Prison Cell. Sorry if I'm talking fast. This is my fourth time recording this, and as you all know, I hate recording things more than once. So this is a fight that I have been trying to do for a little bit. It's actually something that I thought I came up with. I've probably seen it somewhere, but I thought I put two and two together and made it. Anyway, it is Queen Beryl from Sailor Moon versus Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers. I really like this fight because it's not really your typical, traditional death battle fight. We'll get into that in a little bit. But there is one little disclaimer I want to do is that the information in this fight that I'm doing now is probably not going to, it's going to be a little up in the air because there's multiple different canons between these two series. There's, the Deke dub and the manga and everything for Sailor Moon. Even the Saban thing is a thing, apparently. They've both been Saban properties, funny enough. And for Power Rangers, there's Power Rangers, there's fan speculation on Power Rangers, because a lot of things aren't explicitly said, and then there's the Sentai, which is just an entirely different property that you can't really take anything from. The next thing I want to put a disclaimer on before I get into the fight is that I know that Raiden versus Guy from Warframe, don't even remember his name, is coming up, and I'm not going to be doing a video on it, not because I don't want to, but because I cannot find any information on this guy. Whoever this guy is from Warframe, I can't find any character bios. I can't find anything on wikis that describe him as a character. I don't know. I literally don't know anything about him. All I know is he is maybe machine guy with swords, guns, jumps, whatever, right? As far as how I feel about the fight, it'd be cool, but this could be anyone. This could be Genji from Overwatch. This could be the guy from Borderlands. It could be it's a tech ninja, right? If anyone has a link to that describes this guy from Warframe as a character, maybe I can, do another video this week. But as of right now, I'm not planning on it. Anyway, going into this fight. So, Queen Beryl is the queen of the Negaverse, and the Negaverse is this realm of dark energy that she is trying to bring into our earthly plane to take over the world, right? Cool. From this, she can summon these things called Nega monsters, which are like the monsters of the week, and they're usually like big shadowy guys with teeth and stuff. She's also been known to be able to mind control people. A lot of her subordinates who have similar abilities to her have been shown to be able to turn people into monsters, turn items into monsters, things like that. But we can't really assume that she's capable of doing the same just because she's from the same realm, because we've never really seen her do it, and it's something that was very specific. It was a very specific character trait to each of these characters. So that was the reason that were these character specific abilities, and that was the reason they were being sent out, right? Other than that, she is one of the most powerful characters early on in Sailor Moon. She's capable of shooting beams of energy. She's capable of, like I said, mind controlling people. She's even capable of draining energy from others in order to fuel the Negaverse. And it's all in service to a being known as the Nega Force, which sounds like another pool of energy, but it's really just a big deity person that she later fuses with to fight, the Sailor Scouts. But yeah, Queen Beryl, typical witch lady of Sailor Moon. Like I said, I'm going through this very fast because I ran out of time recording it before. The next is Rita Repulsa. I think Rita Repulsa is pretty well known to any Power Rangers fans. She is the early on witch character boss lady, and pretty much consistent boss lady throughout the series, throughout most of the original series at least. She was trapped in a space dumpster. It's not really a dumpster, but it's called a dumpster. For 10,000 years by Zordon, and she has her own minions that were in there with her, and Finster is the main one we're going to be focusing on, not because he's actually going to be a part of the fight, but because it's kind of involved. Finster is able to take, Finster, using Rita's magic, is able to take these, take raw material and basically turn them into monster, or the kind of like blueprints for monsters almost, and Rita's able to turn them into actual living monsters, right? That's kind of her big thing, is creating monsters, creating foot soldiers, making things to send after the Rangers, and watching back and laughing, and even manipulating things from behind the scenes, like her famous move, which is, magic wand, magic staff, make my monster grow, where she, even from other planets, has been able to throw a magic wand or magic staff at a monster, have it be there like instantly, and make the monster grow to the size of a skyscraper. I'm going to assume that's done via magic and not like her own physical strength, because if she could throw a staff through space from another planet and have it arrive on Earth in literal seconds, she could probably just backhand the Rangers into oblivion. But, a lot of her other abilities include, like, shooting lightning and teleportation, making things appear and disappear magically. She's been able to mind control individuals like Tommy via, like, the Gold Ranger, via, like, items that they were in their possession. She's been able to turn both people and inanimate objects into monsters. She's turned people into monsters plenty of times, but she's also, usually on accident, but she's turned things like purses, pumpkins, brick walls into monsters, and they usually have abilities related to what they are. The brick wall was able to turn people into stone, the pumpkin was able to remove people's faces and put, like, jack-o'-lantern faces on them, and the purse was a purse. Now, we do know that, and I'm only bringing this up because this is important for later, we do know that Rita's magic does stem from the morphing grid for a few reasons. When the morphing grid was purified, all evil in the universe was cleansed, except it wasn't, because we still got villains after that. But people like Rita and Zed were, which implies that they were probably connected to the morphing grid, and that's cleansing the morphing grid probably just cleansed all evil from within it. Also, we know that later on, after being purified, Rita gets her powers back, and over the course of several years becomes the mystical mother, and becomes the source of energy that gives the Mystic Force Power Rangers their abilities. As we know, all Ranger suits are derived from the morphing grid. So, Rita has to be connected to the morphing grid in order to do that. Again, I said we'll try to avoid fan speculation, but that is just essential to set a precedent for what's going to happen here. So getting into this fight. I know it's pretty soon, but you'll see what I'm getting at here in a second. Getting into this fight, it seems like Beryl would probably win just because it's a Sailor Moon character, but upon further inspection, this isn't a very traditional death battle because this isn't really one character fighting another. This is a character's army fighting another character's army, so it's more like a Wile E. Eggman situation, really. Because neither of these characters fight very often, and they're not really, and they have their own things they're able to do, and they have many minions and things like that. We're going to avoid using the minions here, I would think, because, like, the minions are their own unique characters, and that just becomes a whole thing. But like I said, we're not going to assume that anything that minions are capable of, that the, Rita or Beryl are capable of, because then, like I said, these minions are their own individual characters who have their own unique abilities, so assuming that both of these two are capable of it would be the same as just including the minions in themselves. And then you get things like Rita being able to eat weapons, or Beryl being able to turn lipstick into a monster and shit, so, I think it's just best to avoid that. However, one thing I'd like to point out is that Beryl herself has the ability to, like I said, summon the Nega monsters from the Negaverse. That being the thing, I think it's only fair that Rita would also, even though, like I said, Finster creates the putties, Rita has shown to be able to just summon putties that may or may not have already been made. In fact, in Battle of the Grid, it's most of her moveset. So, I'm going to assume that for the purposes of this fight to be able to happen the way I've described it, Rita would be able to summon putties. Now, she's not going to be able to summon Goldar and shit, like I said. But this fight kind of can't really happen unless Rita can summon putties. So we're going to say she can summon putties. Upon further inspection, now, given this fight how I have described it, Rita, I think, is going to win here. And here are the reasons for that. So, like I said, the Beryl derives her energy from the Negaverse, right? Unlike the morphing grid, the Negaverse is not a limitless pool of energy, right? It's certainly vast and has a lot of power to it, but she's not... She has to drain power from people or their souls or whatever to give to the Negaverse so that it can eventually, consume Earth. Rita, on the other hand, is drawing power from the morphing grid. Now, she's only drawing power from a small percentage of it, but it's still an infinite reserve of energy. So even though we know that Beryl, well, like I said, Beryl's never specifically drained energy from anyone, her subordinates have, but even giving her that benefit and saying, okay, she can drain energy, they're both just fighting with infinite energy then. Right? Except Beryl has to rely on how fast she can drain energy versus Rita being able to just use it whenever. So Rita would still have an advantage there. The other thing is that even though the Nega monsters, like I said, just generic, big, shadowy guys, sharp teeth, are probably stronger than the putties, the Nega monsters aren't, created from nothingness as far as I know. They're actual monsters that exist in the Negaverse. So Rita is able to just summon and create putties from basically nothing, just raw material. So she's able, even though they're not as strong of a foot soldier, she can just create almost an infinite number of them. And not only that, Rita has a few more advantages in being able to turn people and objects into monsters to fight for her. Now, even if there's no civilians surrounding her, or there's going to be stuff surrounding her, so she's going to be able to turn something into a monster. And even if we say she can't turn the Nega monsters into monsters, she still has two processes of turning things into monsters that are more or less better than Beryl's. And that's not getting into the fact that Rita can teleport between planets instantly and turn anything that she's created, whether it be a putty or an actual monster, from, turns a fire hydrant into a monster. She can make one of these things into a kaiju. Now, Beryl's advantage that she has that Rita doesn't is that Rita has to, in order to possess somebody, Rita has to actually have them have, an item that's a conduit for her, like she did with Tommy. We've seen Beryl remotely, corrupt somebody's heart, but that's kind of the thing. Beryl has to corrupt someone's heart. The putties are just lifeless clay, basically, that are given movement and form and everything. So she probably can't corrupt any of the putties, and if we're looking at corrupting Rita herself, Rita's already a force of darkness in the universe, so I don't think she'd be able to turn a force of darkness into another force of darkness and have it listen to her. So with all of that in mind, I think Rita's probably got this just because what's to stop her from just cranking out more putty soldiers, powering one of them up so that she can, or turning random stuff around them into monsters to eventually overwhelm Beryl's heart. Like I said, Beryl is not drawing from an infinite reserve of power like Rita is, and her process for summoning these monsters, even though they're better than the putties, is not as efficient as Rita's is. So Rita's basically got both, war of attrition and just more versatile and more efficient equipment at her disposal. And in that regards, I think with a fight like this, when you're talking about like an army versus army fight, now it's going to end with one of them dying. But that's how it's determined, you know? So I think Rita has this, which is surprising because I believed a Sailor Moon character was going to just one-shot a Power Rangers character. But anyway, very glad I got that out of the way before time runs out. Verbal 95. See ya.